Hello, investors. It is Ted Zhang, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, September 19th, 4:31 p.m., coming to you from Fort Lauderdale with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Welcome back to another video. Stay in the market. We are in an uptrend. The trend gauge, 4 bullish green arrows. Market leaders are doing well, following through with the markets, short-term, medium-term, and long-term trend above their respective moving averages, and therefore they are up as well. So what happened today? S&P 500 new all-time high close, and leaders were strong. 21 over 21 list, up 1.92%. 20 up, 1 sideways, 0 down, or 1 neutral, 0 down. Big 8 was a standout today, up 3.23%. Tesla up 7%, Nvidia up 4%, Meta up 4%. RG8 up 2.06%, S&P up 1.84%, with the equal weighted up 1.06%. Qs up 2.49%, and QQEW up 1.89%. The Dow up 1.31%, mid caps up 1.75%. Russell small caps up 2.03%. 60/40 equities bonds up 1.04%, and GROTECTION up about 1.82%. All right, so let's jump right into the charts. With that being said, S&P 500 as always. We've talked about this during previous FOMCs and yesterday, that oftentimes the reaction on the day of FOMC oftentimes is the false reaction, which is why our keys for today, or coming into today, was to see the follow-up reaction. And in the morning, we gapped up over 1.5%, and that more or less stuck throughout the day. We tried to push higher, couldn't really do that, and pretty much, let's go on a 5-minute, pretty much closed right where we opened. So not a lot of progress intraday, but we held the gap, and that is very positive, especially with an all-time high daily close. And what is important tomorrow is to see an all-time high weekly close above this key level. And above this key level, there can only be positives. If we break back in, then we might start getting defensive, or at least have our head on the swivel. RSP, new all-time high close, nothing to really say. It's trending above the 8 EMA, made new all-time highs. Qs, we broke out of this pivot right here. Now we are finding some resistance at 485.54. Breaking through that, this 822 bearish engulfing high, and that is looking really constructive. On high volume today as well, 500 is next, and after that, potentially all-time highs. Tech finally led today as well, which is definitely a great sign. The Dow, new all-time high, close above 42,000. Really, there's really not much to say when we're making all-time highs. Mid caps, I believe this is also an all-time high daily close as well. So after 1, 2, 3, 7th, 6th day up in a row, moving averages are just starting to expand to the upside. This could definitely take off more, but I honestly would believe this would be a healthier breakout if we were to just put in some sort of handle right here before we broke out. Small caps, similar to mid caps, didn't notch an all-time high close, but we are getting there. And this as well, if we maybe pulled back a little bit, found some support, and broke out like that, that would be ideal. VIX continues to drop. And as I was talking about, I want this to get below the 200-day moving average and get back into this zone right here for a lower volatility trending environment. The dollar faded completely, closed at the lows, and this looks like just a downtrend that will continue so far. Yesterday, we thought after the Fed, it was going to be a news failure to the upside with heavy short position in the dollar. And then on the flip side, we had gold with heavy long positioning with yesterday's potential news failure. But today we gapped up and closed at the highs. Taking out yesterday's highs would be a signal that the news failure was a false signal. Gold stocks inside day after yesterday's volatility. still holding the 8 EMA and yesterday's lows. So definitely pretty constructive there as well. Silver miners continuing to build out this right side. Over this pivot, they'll probably come up to here, and then the final level would be 29.56 before we see new 52-week highs. And if you look at the weekly, amazing setup here. Look at the monthly. You have this flag. It's just really constructive on all time frames. Bitcoin had itself a day as well. We'll flip over to TradingView for this. Back over 63,000. We reclaimed the 10, 20, 50, and 150 day. 200 day is flattening and above, but we did reclaim the 40 week, 10 week, 20 week, and we got rejected by the 30 week. The reason why daily moving averages and weekly moving averages are so different for crypto is because they trade 7 days a week. So the calculations are a bit skewed versus equities. Bonds, we'll go to TradingView again. Really no movement in the bond market today. 1 and 2 year down a few basis points, 10 and 30 year up a few as well. And I think this is really constructive because bond market can often really reflect whether they think the Fed is ahead of the curve, behind the curve, or in the right spot. And with the lack of volatility in the bond market, it appears that they think the Fed is doing a decent job right now with their 50 basis point rate cut. And bond investors, bond traders are pricing in a decent economy right now without yields completely collapsing, but also not too much inflation with yields staying steady. All right, so I guess I covered BND, just trending. TLT is a bit weak today, and then we talked about the rates as well. So let's go to the tail of the tape next. As always, stay in the market. We're in an uptrend. We had some updated fear and greed, so that went up to 66 plus 10 into the greed territory actually. AAII came in as well. Bulls back above 50%, up 12. Bears down to 26, down 5. So that's definitely something to be aware of, with bulls above historical averages and bears below. NAM also ticked up to 87.46. And we've talked about this before, that the 100 level is definitely a key area that could signal some exhaustion, some overbought conditions. However, we are in all-time highs. So these are definitely secondary indicators as we talk about. They help us in our analysis, but we go by price always first. Definitely operating in the bull case with all-time highs. Today's news, we had weekly initial claims came in lower than expected, which is definitely a good sign for the economy. And since inflation's coming down, it could end up in a Goldilocks scenario, but we'll have to find out how the markets continue to price in so many different factors in the economy and Fed policy. Today's keys was day after reaction to Fed cut. Extremely positive reaction. Got up above this S&P resistance line and closed above as well. So we went from down 1 day to up 1 day. 7 days above the 8 EMA, 7 days above the 21 EMA. Expectations are, of course, positive. I mean, all-time high close, can't really say anything else about that. The S&P ATR is starting to drop, which is what we'd like to see. Some strong sectors today. Bond prices were up. Bond yields were pretty mixed. So I just said down with the 1 and 2 year down, but the 10 and 30 were slightly up. Other strong sectors were Bitcoin, stocks, semis, tech, consumer discretionary, and industrials. Some areas that were down were the dollar, staples, utilities, real estate. And that's exactly what we want to see. Risk on in Bitcoin and semis and consumer discretionary and tech up, with utility staples are down. What do we do today? We bought QLD, got rid of our QID, and as well as our bond position TOTL. So that leaves our beta at 1.43. And for tomorrow's keys, this should be Friday. For Friday's keys, our follow-up reaction to Fed decision. Once again, sometimes Friday can negate Thursday. So that's what we're potentially looking for. And we want to see that weekly close at all-time highs. And with that S&P 500 resistance level, we want to see that turn into support now. So the bottom line is S&P's all-time high and leaders closed strong. All right, so quickly go into a few stocks I wanted to talk about, charts of interest. I want to review NVIDIA since that is one of the biggest names in the market, one of the most consequential names. We gapped up, closed above all key moving averages. So that is a power of three. The 50-day is still a downtrend, so we might need to meander around, consolidate a little bit more. But over these highs here is definitely an area to add a piece of a position right here above 120.79. And then as I talked about on my Tuesday video, this is another level here, followed by this level, and then the final 140.76 level. Tesla, I talked about this on the Tuesday video, talked about over 235, and I expect this gap right here to fill. That's exactly what happened. I could see this stock quickly make a move to this 270 area before needing to consolidate. But after that, 300 is the next level, main level. And once we break 300, let's just go on a monthly chart. That's the level we're looking at. Tesla would officially be back in a longer term uptrend. And yeah, off to the races then. Biotech is one we talked about. It poked its head out, but squatted so far. This looks like maybe it needs to back and fill a tiny bit to build a handle. And then I'll be looking for that again as well. Going over the 21 over 21 list, every single stock was green today. So we'll just go over, let's say, top 10 stocks, and then we'll wrap it up. Zillow, with lower rates, that makes it favorable in terms of financing mortgages, and that benefits groups like Redfin and Zillow. This has been up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days up in a row out of this bottoming cup with handle. It's really nice action. We officially say this is in a stage 2 uptrend. If you didn't catch this move, just stay patient, wait for another setup, wait for another base, and then you can get on board. NVIDIA we just talked about, so I won't talk about it again. GEV was screaming to be a leader and continues to float higher. Can't even get to the 8 EMA, that's how strong it is. DoorDash, gapped up as well through this cup with handle. Next level would be 143.34. Lower rates, people are going to have higher disposable income. Less money goes into the credit card payments, their car payments, their housing payments, and therefore they'll have more income to spend on, let's say, food through DoorDash. ServiceNow, a new all-time high, trending above the 8 EMA, one of the strongest software stocks there is. SE also gapped up into new 52-week highs, just looking really strong as well. Home builders, we own Nail, continues to float into new all-time highs, extremely strong here. And in an easing cycle, home builders can often do quite well. So we're glad we are participating there. Oracle, own this one as well. Starting to build a flag here and potentially looking for a continuation setup and get this 8 EMA to catch up. Just really strong here. Nothing too much to talk about in terms of this name. FFIV, also another high. I mean, pretty much at this point, the theme of today is just new highs, strong closes, and the indexes, sectors, and leading stocks are all acting well today. And so a key for us to watch tomorrow then is the follow-up reaction to the follow-up reaction, and especially hone in on the weekly closes for this week. And if we can really get that all-time high weekly close, it gives us a key area to determine whether the market is healthy or not. Let's just review that one more time. This 56.70 area. Good above the line, bad below. All right, so let me just bring up this. As always, I'm going to wrap it up now. We would like to hear from you. My name is Ted. I'm an associate portfolio manager here at Revere Asset Management. My email is ted@revereasset.com, and you can reach out to Dan and Don at revereasset.com. Our phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. Oh, and also you can follow me on Twitter at TedHZhang. Our website is Revere Asset Management. You can subscribe to our newsletter there and get the notifications to these videos every day. And our YouTube is Revere Asset as well. If you're interested in becoming a client, you can also reach out to us and we'd be happy to look over a portfolio or just answer any questions you may have. And with that said, I'll wrap it up for today, Thursday, September 19th. This is Ted Zhang with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening. Look forward to our podcast tomorrow as well. And then mine and Connor's weekend video, and have a great rest of your week.